Hey everybody, welcome to Screen Crush. Venom has finally made his big screen debut.
I like being bad.
Nope, that movie didn't happen.
It makes me happy.
No, you can't make me acknowledge Spider-Man 3.
You can't double stamp, Lloyd.
This movie is packed with Easter eggs from the comics that we're going to break down for you. But first, spoiler warning for Venom and the comics. First, a little background on this character. In the comics, the Venom symbiote was originally Spider-Man's alien costume that let him mimic clothing and gave him unlimited webbing. But Peter abandoned the symbiote after it started to take control of his body. Afterwards, it found a new host, Eddie Brock, a disgraced reporter who hated Spider-Man for ruining his career. Obviously, there's some big changes in the movie since Spider-Man is in a separate universe. But the film draws heavily from the Venom Lethal Protector miniseries and the crossover Planet of the Symbiotes. By the way, did you guys notice that in the movie they pronounced symbiote correctly? Whereas in the first trailer, Jenny Slate pronounced it,
"We call them symbiotes."
Anyways, a major similarity to Lethal Protector is the setting. Eddie Brock has recently moved to San Francisco from New York. And we don't know the exact reason why, but Eddie's ex-fiancée Anne says,
Repeat.
Of the Daily Globe incident.
Ow!
In the Marvel Comics, the Daily Globe is a New York newspaper that's a competitor of the Daily Bugle, which is owned by J. Jonah Jameson. In the comics, Eddie was fired from the Globe after Spider-Man revealed the true identity of a serial killer that Brock had falsely reported. And there's a small nod to this elsewhere in the movie, when Eddie texted Barney Bushkin asking for a job. In the comics, Barney was the editor of the Globe. The Life Foundation is also the main antagonist of Lethal Protector. In both the comic and the movie, it's run by Carlton Drake, and his main henchman is Roland Treese. In the comic, Drake uses giant digger robots to clear homeless people out of tunnels. And we get a slight analog to that in the film, with Drake's drones that pursue Eddie through San Francisco streets. In the comic, Eddie becomes a protector of a homeless society living in a turn-of-the-century subterranean San Francisco. That's not in the movie, but Eddie does give $20 to a homeless lady. Also in the comic, the Life Foundation is trying to build a haven for super wealthy people so they can survive a nuclear holocaust. He kidnaps Venom to create 5 spawns that'll serve as security for this uber-wealthy fallout shelter. But in the movie, Drake wants to create a gated community in space by intentionally bonding with the symbiotes. God, that's like giving yourself a tapeworm on purpose. How would you even do that?
How, you wonder?
No, I don't. No, thanks.
I bought poop on the dark web and stuffed it up my butt to lose weight.
In the comics, the test subjects are volunteers, and they are successfully bonded to their hosts. Though we don't get to see these symbiotes bond to hosts, this alien does have the same color scheme as Scream, who's from the comics. Drake does take the form of the symbiote Riot, seen here. Riot's plan is to bring the symbiotes back to conquer Earth. You know, an alien invasion force that can be stopped by fire and airplanes.
Not a great plan.
This is similar to the Planet of the Symbiotes comic book, where Brock abandons his alien. Then the symbiote, in its grief, calls out to its people across the galaxy and they invade. Also, in the comics and the movie, the Venom symbiote is an aberration among his kind. Usually the symbiotes want to dominate a host, but Brock's merely wants to share a body. There's a hint of that in the movie as well, when the symbiote tells Eddie,
On my planet, I am a loser like you.
And I just gotta mention, the personality of the Venom symbiote is what sells this movie. The internal monologue Tom Hardy has with himself is like Peter talking to Karen in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Good evening, Peter.
Hello?
If Karen was a cannibal.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
No, I don't want to kill anybody.
There are a few other nods to the comics, like when Venom takes the form of a tempting serpent. In the first post-credits scene, Eddie meets serial killer Cletus Cassidy, who becomes the villain Carnage in the comics. And Eddie's ex Annie briefly takes the form of She-Venom, just like she does in the comics. There are lots of nods to the comic creators as well. Stan Lee, of course, gets his cameo, but I love how the symbiote asks who he is. You know, because then everyone in the audience can turn to the person next to them and go, oh, it's Stan Lee, elbow, elbow. But there are also a few notable name drops that comics fans will recognize. Anne works for the law firm McElhaney and McFarlane, named after Dave McElhaney and Todd McFarlane, the creators of Venom. Also, Eddie lives in the Schuler building. Now, the fan who originally suggested the black costume for Spider-Man was named Randy Schuler. The astronaut who survived the crash is named Jameson, and this could be J. Jonah Jameson's son, John. In the comics, he's an astronaut who becomes a werewolf, and in the movies, Mary Jane dumps him for not being able to kiss upside down. There are also a few references to other non-comic book films. Well, they could be references or they could be ripoffs. The way the host hops from body to body and the robotic way they move is very reminiscent to the aliens in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. At one point, the symbiote takes possession of a dog. This could be referencing John Carpenter's The Thing. The arm knife reminded me of the T-1000 and this scene from Terminator 2. And finally, this now iconic quote,
Like a bird in the wind.
strongly echoes the frustrations of Warden Norton in The Shawshank Redemption.
Man up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Well, that's all the references we found, but how about you? Let us know in the comments. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.